consistency. They're not there yet, and it only takes one offensively. Defensively is a little bit different. You can have 10 players mess up, but one guy that dominates his guy just happens to be at the point of attack, and nobody even realizes the other 10 guys messed it up. So offensively doesn't hardly work that way. I feel like our kickers have continued to kick the ball extremely well in camp. We're much closer to figuring out who our return guys are going to be. We have really more speed on our team this year, so that's enabled us to create some depth on special teams. But in all three phases, we've really got to be more consistent, especially offensively. We put the ball on the ground several times today, opportunities for turnovers. And anytime you go against each other, if the offense doesn't turn the ball over, you're ticked off at the defense, right? And if the offense does turn it over, you're ticked off at the offense. So we got to have a happy medium there. Offensively, we don't need to turn the ball over ever. We have been trying to harp about being more of a ball-hawking defense. There was some balls out today. Still making too many dead ball penalties. Has nothing to do with talent. Has to do with focus and discipline. We must improve there. With that, I'll take any questions.
Steve, and then Rob, and David.
You said the experienced guys kind of stood out today, but of the newcomers, were there any who kind of caught your attention and showed that they're still kind of pushing forth?
It's interesting when you're talking about newcomers. We have them everywhere, all over our team, right? So a defensive lineman can show up on a sack, right, or a play at the point of attack. Usually an O lineman, you don't really notice him when you're standing back there unless he gives up a sack, right? So wide receiver, you may have a great day and the ball never comes to you, okay? So it's hard to tell when you're just standing out there on the field, but we have lots of guys that are competing really hard. We'll watch the tape, get a much better idea, but nobody that I would just say right now.
Rob, and David, and Wes.
Coach, where did you see the most progress this Sunday till today?
I felt like the effort to start practice was much improved. We had a speaker last night. Inky came and spoke, and I've heard him speak before. We've done a fantastic job. Talked about what it meant for him to be at Tennessee, and just the message that he shared with the players is right on track to what we've been talking about since we've been here. So there was definitely much more energy. So my question is, do we have to come get Inky to talk to the team before we ever go out there and practice every day? But there was more energy to start practice, so that was positive.
David, then Wes.
You said earlier this off-season, this camp, that you hadn't seen the defensive line separate. Have you seen any separation? And if so,
I see guys that have some ability. They got to learn how to play, learn how we want them to play, whether it's technique or the effort, toughness, or maybe it's just know-how, right? The more you're in a program, you have a lot better understanding of the people around you and how it fits, how the puzzle kind of fits together defensively. But there's several guys that have improved up front, and we still got a long ways to go there, right? So they got to continue to work hard every single day. We can't take a day off, and we've got to continue to improve over the course of the season.
Wes.
Jeremy, a couple questions. One, you said after last scrimmage that you thought Garantano's had a good camp, but maybe didn't have a really good scrimmage that day. Was he better today that you saw? And the second question is, when do you start changing from camp mode to kind of first game mode?
Well, Jarrett's he's been really consistent this camp. We started practice off a little different today. So, and last week it was third downs. Today was coming out, and then third downs in red area. So, to me, you're looking for a guy to make the throws, right? So he get the ball out of his hand, get the protection right, and he done a nice job doing that today.
Other questions? David, then Grant and Wes.
Have you gotten any clarification on what you can expect the timing of offering at this point, or anything new on that?
No.
Grant, Wes, and Caleb in the back.
Is this your final scrimmage of the fall, and if so, do you feel like you're kind of where you want to be heading towards kind of the game prep?
Well, we'll be off tomorrow, and then we'll start for the next 3 days. We'll take some opponents that we have early in the season, and we'll spend a day on each one of them, and we'll probably, start getting into our game week prep probably about Thursday, and spend, probably 3 days this week at the latter part of the week. So we'll work on lots of opponents this week, and we've done it all fall camp. Since day 6, we've been working on some component of somebody we play.
Wes and Patrick and Caleb.
When you're talking about pre-snap penalties, is that both sides of the line of scrimmage, or is that mostly just the offense that you're seeing that? And is there a common theme there? Is it just lost focus or bad communication, or what's costing them?
Well, I would say any dead ball penalty is loss of concentration, focus, and yeah, it's all 3 phases, so whether it's a guy out there at gunner that there is no snap count, all you do is watch the ball, right? You can't hear the snap count, and the guy moves as a gunner, or is, the tight end on field goal protection. You're going to kick a 52-yard field goal, and you have illegal procedure. Now you're going to kick a 57-yarder, so which is probably out of your range, right? So just really foolish pre-snap penalties. Lots of it comes with maturity. It's amazing how many times some young guys can line up off sides, and that comes with growing up, being mature enough to handle the whatever's going on in the practice, whether it's how many reps you're taking or whether or not you're having success, just being disciplined to do what's right.
Patrick and Caleb.
You guys do obviously do a lot of 11-on-11 team stuff in regular practice as a staff. You're kind of evaluating players individually. How much more stock, or do you put more stock into what you see in the scrimmages as compared to what you see every other day? This is still playing a lot of team periods. Playing football.
Well, I like to look at it like this. So let's say me and Zach are both playing corner, okay, and we'll just use that position. So Zach might be playing with the best technique, okay? He plays with the best technique. He never makes a mental error. He's always in the right spot, okay? But during the course of a scrimmage, there's 5 opportunities for Zach to make a play, and he makes absolutely none of them, okay? Now, Zach's been in the program for 4 years, okay, or 2 years or whatever, been through 2 springs and now a second fall, so he's got a better understanding, okay? Then you got me, I just got here, right? Okay, so I'm learning the technique, I'm kind of learning, I'm somewhere in between, right? I don't always know what to do, okay? Might not be lined up with the proper leverage, might not have my eyes in the right spot, but over a scrimmage, I get 5 plays and I make 4 out of 5. All right, so you're the coach. Do you want to coach me or do you want to coach Zach? You with me? So we're at that point right now. So we got some guys in our program that, because they've been here and they have experience, they kind of have the know-how, and that's important, right? Because if Zach's in the right spot, all the time, lots of times the play won't present itself to him because he is in the right spot. And the other, somebody like me that might not know what I'm doing, right? I'm not in the right spot, so the ball can come at me that many more times, So there's a fine line right there about, are you coaching the right people? And that's something that we've got to make a decision on in the next couple of days moving forward. Because there'll be some guys that are not ready to play right now that, the 4th or 5th week, they might be starting. I mean, we got a guy on our coaching staff, Nate Andrews. He's a graduate assistant. He's a high school quarterback in in Mobile. We signed him at Florida State, and about this time right here, I'm sitting here thinking, Lord have mercy, what am I doing signing this guy? Couldn't backpedal, couldn't get it right. By the fourth game, he was starting on a team and ended up winning the national championship, and he led us in calls, fumbles, and interceptions. So we were right all along. We just didn't have the patience to begin with. So there'll be guys like that.
Caleb and Jesse Bryant.
Coach, I want to know if you've been in that 17 recruits trailer that you guys have, practice with them. Also, you said a couple weeks ago that it was a little bit hot. The 90s almost hot.
I've not made it in that trailer. So y'all know they don't make them like they used to, right? So, they get in trailers, they get in cold tubs. But it's good, though. It's a good thing to cool their bodies down. It's for safety and protect their guys, right? So our staff, Geronimo Boucher and Dr. Klink and everybody associated with our athletic training staff, they do a really good job protecting our players and making sure that they have the best available equipment that we need to have success.
Jesse Bryant.
Jeremy, you gave us the metaphor, I guess on Monday or Tuesday, whatever that was, about the defensive line kind of driving with their eyes closed and hoping that they can graduate from one grade to another. Now, seeing the day, I know you haven't seen the film, but how would you assess maybe their consistency today versus where they were a week ago after scrimmage?
Well, I believe that's probably the biggest thing is inconsistency. Most all of these guys can do it the right way, but can we sustain? Can we put 4 plays together? Can we put 12 plays together? That's what we're looking for, right? So, we'll have to see that. I'm not worried about the ability part. I'm worried about the execution and really kind of sustaining. When you get somebody on the other side that knows what they're doing, and it's going to try to change the way you think, can you sustain and do it the right way then?
So it is an execution, it's not an effort with that group, it's a down and down, maybe one play.
No, it's if you don't make a play defensively, either number one, okay, you don't know what you're doing right, you're not lined up right or whatever. 2, you don't play with the right technique, or 3, you don't play with the right discipline, effort, or toughness to finish the play, right? So it's always somewhere in between there, right? It's a combination.
Brent and Trey.
On the offensive side of the ball, and the emphasis this week was Coach Chandler in practice field was coming off the ball better, finishing better, and we have a question to take. Do you feel like you were a little better on the offensive front in terms of doing those 2 things?
We've had some guys, it's had a really good couple of weeks. There continues to be movement along the offensive line. I don't know how many different combinations we practiced with the ones today, but it was a lot, whether it's Wanye Marsh at left tackle, or Jameer Johnson, or Marcus Tatum, or, taking Brandon Kennedy at center and Ryan Johnson at center, or maybe playing Ryan Johnson at guard or right tackle, or moving Riley Locklear around. So you throw in Jerome and Kayron. There's those guys that we've played a lot of different combinations up front. It'll be interesting to see the productivity, as a group when they're in there, right? So, and I only know that once I watch the tape.
Trey, final question.
When you look at the younger players that are in the system right now, and the defensive scheme that you're trying to implement for them, how much would you say that they've been able to pick it up from when they first stepped on campus and meetings and had with you? How have the younger players come along with this scheme?
Well, the way I look at defensive football, it's pretty simple. There's one ball, okay? We figure out who's got the ball, and we try to get the guy with the ball. Now, I know that sounds pretty simplistic, right? And there's lots of things that go into having a good defense. But, the group of guys that we have on our staff, we've always kind of prided ourselves in keeping things simple. Even though that I think if you over the years you've watched us play, we've been very multiple. But I think the teaching progression, how we coach it, how we present it, makes it really easy for our players. You know, one thing about being a good defensive player is you obviously got to know what you're supposed to do, right? But most of the time, if you just freeze the formation before the ball snapped on TV, a good football player knows, hey, I'm fixing to get this or that. A good one, right? So we've got to have a little better understanding of what people try to do to you, and there's certain formations and plays that are kind of everybody does, right? So that comes with experience. That comes with poise, having confidence in what you're doing, so you're not worried about, you know, there's no anxiety about what do I have. I know what I got, right? Make the calls, get lined up, know what I got, where they lined up, okay? How's the guard setting right here, okay? Where's the location of the tight end? You know, is the back deep? Is he even? Is he behind the quarterback? Is he wide? Where's the X? Who's in the game? You know, which wide receivers in the game? Running plays change based off running backs or tight ends. So there's all this stuff that goes on, has nothing to do with ability, okay? Just has to do with awareness, and it's before the ball's ever snapped. So as people gain confidence in what they're doing, they learn to play the plays, and to me, that's what defensive football is.
Thank you, Coach.